Monsters, Incorporated will always be my favorite movie from Pixar, alongside Cars and Wall-E. Everything about it is good. The characters were quite funny, the soundtrack was awesome, and the emotional bits. But now, my good memories of this film are ruined because of one single DVD. It was a beautiful day, and I was just on my notebook I got for my birthday, drawing some pictures. A few seconds later, I heard a ring at the doorbell. I looked through the door, but nobody was out there. So I slowly opened it. I saw a package on the blue mat. I brought it in and opened it. To my surprise, it was my childhood favorite Pixar film on DVD, Monsters Incorporated. But not just any DVD, but the 2002 2-disc collector's edition. I already had it, but something was off on it. The logo on the front had a red M instead of a blue one, Mike had no eye and he was drooling and crying blood, Boo's silhouette had black eyes along with blood on the door, and Sully had red eyes and fangs. I got suspicious about this DVD. I looked on the back cover. The THX certified print logo on the back cover was also written in red. Along with Randall having red eyes, and Roz having blood stains on her. I decided to watch it to find any differences in this DVD. I decided to watch it, because it was my childhood film. I plugged in the DVD player accessory and put disc 1 in. But, sure, the FBI warnings came up, but the background was red instead of blue, the menu screen was also different. The music was kind of distorted, and the music was just a piano version of it with a piano chord and Sully's roar. I soon took notice of those differences, but just shrugged them off. Then I pressed play. Boy, would I really want to take that back. The THX Text 2, Mookin trailer played, but it was way off. The THX logo appeared in a dark background, as usual. There was about 10 seconds of silence until the THX mascot, Tex, dropped down to the ground so fast I almost fell off the couch. He looked at the camera and pulled out the moo can, but it was red, and it had Sully's face on it. Tex gave the moo can a small shake, but there was no moo sound. He pressed the button on his chest activating the jetpack on his back and flew to the X and took out the cord like normal, but it looked burnt. He plugged it in the moo can and gave it a small shake again. But instead of moo sounds like in the actual trailer, there were sounds of Sully roaring. The sounds were so loud Tex dropped the moo can to cover his ears, but it was not quite enough, and his head was exploded into a pile of gore, along with the THX logo falling into pieces. Then it faded into a black screen, with the text saying, "The best sound, the best picture, you're watching a THX certified feature." Instead the THX slogan, "The audience is listening," and the text was shattered. I was shocked from what I just watched. The Walt Disney Pictures logo played, but it was a crimson red, and the audio had a demonic tint added. And the usual intro played, but with the music going distorted, and the background was a bunch of old, broken doors. The film began as per usual, that is, until Waterness came on screen. His voice was distorted, the rest played like normal. There were some parts of the film where the DVD would stop and goes to the next scene. But this is where things get really disturbing. During the part where Sully does his big loud roar, Randall approached Waterness and told him he has the child with him. Waterness, clearly upset, goes towards Sully and says something in a demonic tone.
"Sully, how could you let down the entire company?"
Before a blood-red door appeared. Sir, that's not her door," Mike stated. Waterness said his usual lines and walked towards the door, revealing it to be hell.
"It's yours,"
Waterness said, as he shoved both Mike and Sully into hell. And what happened next was the most horrific. Mike and Sully screamed as they were being burned, with their voice actors screaming in anguish. Soon, their burnt corpses fell to the ground, dead. The end credits, "If I Didn't Have You" played, but distorted. And the DVD ended there. I didn't want to watch this too because I didn't want to see what was on that DVD as well. I was shocked at what I saw. I decided to email Pixar Animation Studios about the film. Here's their reply. To something. From Pixar Animation. Subject, Monsters Incorporated film. We're sorry about that. We would never, ever, and ever make anything that graphic in a kid's film. Well, a film tampering issue is to blame. Before the final batch, someone named James Bowen snuck in and made this alternate version. So, sorry about that. Don't worry, we and the team are working on investigating this. Jump along, Lasseter. Well, I chuckled at the jump along part. But one thing never would leave me. Why would someone do this?
Hello, I'm Steven, and today I am going to take over for Tom in this creepypasta video because he is sick at the moment. Well, I hope that he gets better soon. Anyways, let's get the show on the road. Ahem. There have been many classic Disney and Pixar movies that are well beloved today, like Cars, WALL-E, just to name a few. One of my favorite Disney movies of all time was Monsters, Inc., which I've seen ever since I was young. This movie features Sully, Mike, Waternoose, Roz and many others. But what if I told you that there is a different ending to this beloved movie? Please, believe me that it will creep you out. I was sitting bored at home, playing WALL-E on my PS3. That is, until I received something in my Google Mail. It was from Pixar themselves. Dear big Pixar fan, we would like to share an alternate ending to our timeless classic Monsters, Inc. Made on July 3, 2003 by dropped employee Adam Kennington. Please watch it. But do not screen it anywhere after you're finished watching it, please delete it. A link was attached. The file downloaded as an MP4 file titled, Monsters Inc. 2003 Alternate Ending version MP4. Wasting no time, I opened Windows Media Player to play the alternate ending. Unfortunately for me, I never expected the ending to be so dark and traumatizing, so I never watched the movie ever again. Plus, it was really messed up. The ending started with Sully and Mike hopping off one of the doors. Sully then said, "Come on," while carrying Boo. I knew this was the door chase scene. Sully noticed Randall before going into the door, which was placed sideways, which was a French bedroom, but the scene was crimson. Randall then looked out the door, only to have it shut on him. "Hope that hurts, lives or boy," laughed Mike. The scene continued out of normal, before things really got dark. "Great job buddy, we lost him," Sully said, as in the final cut. However, Boo just disappeared, only for Randall to then camouflage above Sully and Mike, holding Boo, and unlocking the door hold device, causing the door to drag, with Mike and Sully still hanging on. "Nice working with you, Randall said. The scene cut to Sully and Mike, getting into the falling door. "Get it open," Sully shouted. "I'm trying," said Mike. "Open the door," Sully shouted again. The door opened, and Mike and Sully went into the door. Just before it smashed to pieces, it cut to black, only for a loud blood splatter to be heard. It stayed black for 30 seconds. The credits rolled, with its background that looked more reddish than what I remembered, and the song, If I Didn't Have You played, but it was super distorted. After the credits were done rolling, I saw the most messed up message. Made by Kennington in 2003. Well, whoever made the alternate ending of this movie is a mystery it is. Tom, are you feeling better now?
Yes, Steven. I'm all better now. Wait. Why are you looking at me like that?
Tom, you're all better now, but your voice is different. I guess that the Finding Nemo creepypasta made you feel sick and gone to the bathroom and then went to bed, and then you woke up and you felt better, but it changed your voice. What even has happened to you, Tom?
I'm not sure, but that creepypasta gave me horror vibes or something. And I don't know why my voice sounded like a Scansoft version of me, but it's a reason why Paul replaced me back in the beginning of 2017. What even made me switch my Tom voice from an Oddcast version to a Scansoft version is a mystery it is.
Well darn it, it looks like I'll have to get a new narrator to replace Tom, until I can reinstall his Oddcast version of his voice. What the bloody heck? This sucks so nice.
Monsters, Inc. was one of Pixar's best works yet. It had a neat concept and charming moments. I was scared of it when I was a kid, but I will always have a soft spot for it. But that's not what I'm talking about. There is something that will be stuck in my head for years now. It was November 2nd, 2020. a year before Monsters Incorporated's 20th anniversary. I was viewing the Pixar website about their projects from 1995 to 2005. Not long after, I got an email notification for Pixar. I opened up the email and it said, "Hello, Pixar fan from Australia. We would like to show you an unreleased draft at the beginning of Monsters Incorporated, as we would rather not release it to the public. The person who made it was the same person who made the deleted draft of Woody's Nightmare from Toy Story 2. Only he impersonated a random man. After you watch it, please do not screen it anywhere. Watch at your own risk." I was confused but surprised. I just got another email from Pixar. The first time I got one from them was when I was given a deleted draft of Woody's Nightmare from Toy Story 2. I downloaded the file and it was finally saved onto my laptop. Its file name was Monsters Incorporated Opening Scene Beta.mov. An alternate draft of the beginning of Monsters Incorporated, huh? I thought to myself. I opened up the file, but before it played, it had a warning. This following deleted, later changed, footage of Monsters Incorporated you're about to see is not for the weak-hearted. Viewer discretion is advised. I got anxious after reading it. Here goes the freakiness again. The footage started with a shot of the shelf in a child's bedroom, with toys placed on. We heard the usual dialogue as heard in the final film. "Good night, sweetheart," said a woman's voice. "Good night, Mom," said a boy's voice. "Sleep tight, kiddo," said a man's voice. The light then switched off. It then panned down to the simulation boy sleeping in bed. Things were normal. But when the door creaked open, there was a silent growl coming from the simulations boy's closet. The boy looked around his room to see where the growling was coming from, and he saw a tentacle leaning on the door. However, something wasn't right. The tentacled arm was holding a hatchet. The boy gasped and shut his eyes, bracing for a scare, but when he looked again, the tentacle was only his red jumper sleeve. The boy then went back to sleep. Then the shadow flew over him. As that happened, the room then glowed dark red. What the hell is going on? I said to myself. This was why this was changed. When it panned under the bed, red glowing eyes opened, but there was blood pouring out of them. It then cut to a shot of the simulation boy sleeping. At that moment, Thaddeus Bile, one of the monsters in the movie, emerged from behind. And oh God, he looked berserk. He was all blood-stained. He was holding cleavers in both hands, and he was grinning with bloodstains on his teeth. The boy then turned around to see Bile, and he let out a loud, piercing, and blood-curdling scream. The scream was so loud, I covered my ears. The scream lasted for 5 seconds until he stopped. As I went to play the video file again, I noticed blood on my palms. Shit, I croaked. The boy's scream made my ears bleed even if I still covered them. Bile then tried to attack the boy with a cleaver, but the boy jumped out of bed and was a human rather than a robot. "I'm gonna get you, little boy," yelled Bile. The simulation boy then opened up the door to get his parents. "Mom, Dad, there's a monster in my room." The boy then ran out of his room to wake his parents. He pounded on his parents' bedroom door to alert them. The boy's mother opened the door with the father. "What is it, sweetheart?" she said. "A monster is in the house," the boy said. "A monster?" the father asked. "Son, there is no such thing as..." Suddenly, Bile jumped out of the hallway with a chainsaw in his hands. "Let's put on a scary movie in real life," yelled Bile. "A monster!" the father and mother yelled in unison. "Run!" the boy screamed. The family ran around the house to avoid Mr. Bile and his chainsaw. Mr. Bile swung his chainsaw around in an attempt to kill the boy. He destructed many objects around the kitchen and in the living room. The boy ran with his parents to go outside. Suddenly, Bile came crashing out of the window and lunged onto the boy. He screamed in sheer fear as the blue monster pounced straight onto him. The boy wrestled to escape Bile's grip, but he was too strong. Bile started up his chainsaw, pulling a slasher smile directly at the child. "Please, don't hurt me," he pleaded, begging the monster to not kill him. "Leave our son alone, you hideous demon," the mother berated, running towards Bile with her husband. Mr. Bile then slashed his chainsaw in the parents' faces, killing them. "No, Mom, Dad," shrieked the boy. Bile pointed his chainsaw slowly towards the boy, causing him to scream loudly. The boy's scream was very loud. I began to feel a burning sensation in my ears. I covered my ears tightly, but they started bleeding again. Blood started printing onto my ears once I uncovered them. At that moment, it showed the scene as shown in the final film. The simulator screaming straight in Bile's POV. Bile screaming back at him before stepping on the ball, causing it to ricochet back at him and make him trip on his skateboard and land on a game of jacks, causing him to scream like a little girl and run around in circles like a lunatic. The simulation lights turned on, and the scene played out as normal. The scene ended at the scene where Miss Flint says, "Can anyone tell me Mr. Bile's big mistake?" Once the file ended, I wiped the blood out of my eardrums, rested outside for 5 minutes, and drank a glass of water to cure myself. I went to delete the file on my laptop, since Pixar didn't want it to be screened in public. That night, I started to have nightmares. I had a nightmare of Daddy's Bile killing me, and another about the simulation boy screaming in my face. Every night I sleep in bed, I get that feeling somebody is watching me from my wardrobe. Voice acting sucks.
I know, creator, I know. But we took care of this, Tom Shenanigan, and he's the real one who speaks in this oddcast version of himself.
That's right. Tom's back, bitches, and I'm gonna narrate the next creepypasta. Time for Daddy Tommy to get to work.